Is your loved one with dementia going around and taking other people's things? This is a common behavior that we see in dementia, but it doesn't have to happen, and I'm going to show you how to help fix it.
Ooh, that's a nice hat.
I'm Reverend Katie Norris. Welcome to Recourse Coaching, where we talk about all things dementia care and brain health. Usually we're told that people taking things from other people is just part of dementia and to try and redirect somebody. But a lot of times that redirection doesn't work. And most of the time it doesn't work because the redirection doesn't meet the unmet need that's causing the behavior in the first place. And so that's the thing. It's not just dementia that's causing this problem. There's also something else going on that's driving this behavior. And when I talk about dementia or just everyday life, I always talk about how behavior is a form of communication. Our behaviors, everybody's behaviors, are trying to tell us something. When I talk about behaviors, I have a formula for why behaviors happen. And it's taking the internal environment and the external environment, you add those together, and then you get behaviors. Now, in dementia care, a lot of times we do talk about the external environment, which is what's around us. Is the room too cluttered, too loud, too many people? Is it distracting? Can people not see what they need? Can they not move around? That's external environment. Some examples of it. And then internal environment, though, is things like, are they in pain? Are they sick? Are they tired? But also things like past family systems, so how their brain has been wired and brought up to respond to things like feelings of loss, feeling scared, being in a new place, being confused. And so that internal environment will also lead to behaviors. So if we're looking at this behavior of taking other people's things, there's a couple things that we want to look at to figure out what kind of intervention are we going to use to help this person to either stop the behavior from happening at all, or so that we know how to deal with it quickly when it does happen. So one of the most common reasons why people take other people's things is because the person is wandering. And when you wander around, you pick things up. We do the same thing. When you go into Costco or a big box store, how often do you only get what's on your list? We usually kind of wander around the store, see some stuff we like, and then that gets added to our cart. This is very similar. So we wander when our brain is either overstimulated or understimulated, or there's nothing in the environment that's kind of telling our brain what we should be doing. So we can get confused, we can get bored, we can get disoriented, and then we start wandering around and we just start taking stuff we like. One fix is to make sure that the environment is always set up in a way that the person has something accessible for them to do. Now, how that looks is going to be different for every person, but this is why in Montessori care, we talk a lot about not just activities like, okay, now we're going to go do art, now we're going to go do music, but daily life activities. In a Montessori-based care community, people sweep their own floors, they make their own beds, they get their own food, they make food for other people, they set the table with other people, they're engaged throughout the day. In a Montessori home environment, it's the same thing. We have signage up that invites people to vacuum or sweep the floors. We have a way for somebody to get water on their own, washing off the table after meals, washing their own clothes, or at least separating their own clothes. People are engaged in lots of the regular types of everyday living stuff. And so that's what we're all doing all day. And when we don't have ways to be able to have our brain engaged throughout the day, we can get bored or confused and agitated, and then we start to wander. If it's not wandering, what you want to look at is what exactly are they taking, and also who are they taking it from. So let's say somebody's going around and taking items from different people in the family or in the care community. Do they happen to be taking items that are from like friends, family, or even a pet? Because if they are, what they might be missing is emotional connection to those people. And so we might want to do an activity that helps fill that need. Now, what if they're taking things from people not particularly they like or don't like, but beloved items from other people? They may be feeling a loss of not having items that make them feel like they're at home, items that are precious to them, and so they're taking important items from somebody else. They have like this internal need to have things that are precious to them, but then the only way that they know how to associate that is they've seen other things that are precious to somebody else. So then they take those items because they assume that they are precious and that they would like them. So if that's true, then we have a different problem going on, and we might want to figure out what we need to do to help them know that their beloved items are near them. You know, we might have things set up in a certain way so that they can see their items. We might need to use a memory book. We might do some activities based around the items that they really love or a hobby that they have. And so that's why we want to look at multiple different things. So if we're looking at what they're taking, you're actually not only looking at external environment of the item, but also internal environment of what might be the emotional connection to the item or the person that they took the item from that might show us an unmet need that we might need to fulfill. The other thing is, what if they're taking super similar items from every person? Like they take everybody's glasses. So a lot of people focus on very certain items that they need to know where they are all the time because it gives them a sense of safety. For some people, that is their glasses, their hearing aids. It might be their stack of Post-it notes for people who write notes for themselves a lot. It might be their phone. And so if they're taking very similar items from a lot of different people, it might be that they have this internal fear that they don't always know where this item that they really need is. And so they go looking for it, and then they just take a whole bunch of them. So if that's what's happening, then we need to look at how do we make sure that this person knows where their glasses are? Do we need to attach them to them if that's comfortable for them? Do we need to make sure that they're always in the same spot at a table that's close to them, that where they usually are sitting? And then we used a space retrieval process to help them know every time I wonder where my glasses are, this is where I go to look for my glasses. So this is why it's really important that when we talk about behaviors in dementia, that we don't just keep saying, well, that's just dementia. Because when we do that, we don't try to look at how can we improve these behaviors. And then everyone is miserable. The person looking for all these things is miserable. They're probably agitated. They're probably annoyed. They're wandering around. And then if it's at home, all the family members are upset, and you go and you're trying to go to work and your keys are gone. You don't know where they are. You're finding stuff all over the place. Everybody's confused. And if you're in a care facility, then you've got staff upset, other residents upset, other families of the residents upset, and it's a mess. That's an extremely stressful way to live. And so it's really sad when people say, well, that's just dementia, just try to redirect them, because most of the time it's not going to work. So I hope that some of these tips help you figure out how to observe the person that you're working with or your loved one. Think of the internal environment and external environment and how that might be creating the behavior that you're seeing, so that then you can think of different supports that you can put into place that might help meet that need. If this video was helpful for you, please let me know in the comments below. And also don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to catch my daily content with lots of reels of different dementia care scenarios, you can find me on Instagram at Creative Connections Dementia.